Yo, guys, I literally just finished watching the Arsenal versus Sporting game. It was what an amazing morning of football that we just had. I just want to get straight into it. So real quick, I do want to round up the Man United versus Real Betis game. There wasn't too much to talk about, but let's just go over some of the quick points. Starting with Palestri, I think that he was a really interesting addition to the lineup today. Honestly, it wasn't perfect. Obviously, there were some moments where the final ball could have been better, but I think overall the positions he's getting into, he's definitely showing the IQ and the potential that with some more consistent minutes, I think that there's definitely a player there. Not gonna lie, the Garnacho injury stings. It would have been nice to see him out there today, but of course, gotta make do with what we got. There is still other options out there. We can't forget that Diallo's been doing really well out on loan right now for us, so I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens with this future, but I did want to point out that he had a pretty good performance today for just being kind of thrown back into the first team. I want to talk about Voot real quick. I mean, man, another typical Weghorst performance, and I mean that in the best way possible. Hardworking, getting out there, getting himself about, making plays happen, creating space. Unfortunate to not get on the score sheet, but hey, that's kind of just been his luck so far, unfortunately. We can only hope that he'll be able to turn it around, but again, I thought it was a really solid performance. Moving on to the defensive side of things, I thought David De Gea was really good today. It wasn't the most active he's ever been, but it was a good performance. On that kind of meh attitude, I want to move on to Harry Maguire, who was thrown into the lineup. I think Varane was just rotated out for fitness. I didn't really look into that, to be honest. I'm assuming that was just it. But yeah, I thought he played really well. You know, he came in there, made some really crucial blocks, challenges. He was overall a solid performance. It's not like he wowed me. It wasn't anything perfect, but it was a really solid performance from a player that needs one of those right now, so I'll take it. So yeah, overall, it was a really strong defensive performance away from home. Overall, just to wrap that up, there was a couple more things I wanted to touch on. Fred wasn't great, man. Like, every single game that we don't have either Eriksen or Sabitzer out there to start, I feel like you can really notice the lack of buildup in the midfield. The way that the play tends to break down, it's not great, and I hope that that's a signing that we're gonna make this summer for sure. We need a new 8. Finally, come on, you know I had to talk about it. Oh my goodness, what a goal, what a goal, what a player. Marcus Rashford, yeah, okay, I'll get out here and address it immediately. Could have had a few more goals. It wasn't a perfect night for him in front of goal, but man, like, Rui Silva made some really good saves, and I'm not gonna take that away from Marcus. All right, it was a really solid performance overall, and I liked it, especially when you consider Real Betis' home form. They've been a really good team at home this season and just overall, so I would say solid performance from United. Got the job done with the rotated squad. On to the next round. Moving on to what is by far the most entertaining game of the day, Arsenal versus Sporting. Oh my gosh, what an amazing game. So I'm just gonna kind of run through some of the notes that I was taking through the game, just kind of tell the bit of the story about how things played out. Like I said, I'm literally starting this recording 5 minutes after the game finished, so I just want to kind of run through everything and just give my thoughts as things played out. So Lisbon started really well. It wasn't anything amazing. They didn't have any super great chances, but they started off well, you know. They were holding some good possession, but everything changed with that first goal, man. Jorginho, what a pass. This guy, man, Arsenal fans, are you figuring out that this was a great signing by now? This guy is serious, man. Like, he changes the game with passes like that. That's the type of player you need, especially with the type of forwards that Arsenal have. Martinelli, Jesus, Saka, these are all guys that excel running in behind the back line and getting into those runs in the box. It's exactly what Jorginho's going to be finding, and I love it so far. I think he's been doing really well for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus had a really strong first 45 as well, but was forced to come off due to fitness problems. And the best chance that he created from a solo run was ultimately saved by today's superstar, Antonio Adan. What a performance. Probably the best game he's ever had in his life. I don't know, but I'm guessing there can't be much bigger than this. So getting into the second half, Arsenal are 1-0 up, but Sporting come out and they start really strong. They're keeping the possession in Arsenal's half, and while they're not breaking through with great chances, the pressure is on. And most importantly, Arsenal aren't creating chances anymore. They've been put on the back foot, which is allowing Sporting to get more comfortable and get into their game, and that's exactly when Pedro Goncalves, I'm butchering that pronunciation. I do not care. What a player, man. This guy was unreal. real today. He ran the show. It was great work off the ball, great pressure, great passing, keeping the midfield ticking. He's a really, really quality player, and you saw it, man. When he spotted that moment, Ramsdale, just a bit off his line, it wasn't even super bad. Ramsdale almost got back to it. But man, that shot was unbelievable, just in under the crossbar. I'm not gonna lie. I'm normally the type of person that I think those kinds of goals are super overrated. I don't like them. I think that they're opportunistic, yes, but technically, it is kind of like whatever to me. You kicked the ball really far, cool. But this was different. Like, he spotted where he needed to place the ball in the goal, just in under the crossbar. It was a really beautiful lob shot, I guess you call it. Brilliant from Pedro, man. It was an insane goal, completely changed the game, and that pressure that Sporting was applying, that was what they needed. That was the game-changing moment where they realized we could actually do this. The only other super notable chance of the second half was probably Marcus Edwards, who, just for the sake of the story, I would have loved for him to have bagged the goal, man. You know, a London kid scoring against his rival club as a youth player. It would have been great. But anyways, he had a really, really good one-on-one chance against Aaron Ramsdale, who, to be fair, he stood up to it and put his face right on the ball. Unreal. But it was a great save, and honestly, it was showing that both sides were still really in it. You know, Sporting were still creating chances. Arsenal were trying to stand up to that test as much as they could. So getting into extra time, as you can expect with a fixture like this, the game did get a bit more chippy, but that doesn't mean there weren't chances. A big Sporting mistake led to a huge chance for Leandro Trossard in extra time, one-on-one, and again, the hero of the day, Antonio Adan, makes a brilliant save. Saka was continuing to create good chances. I think I forgot to mention he came off the bench, but since he came off of the bench, he was creating really, really good chances, especially his deliveries into the box were super good today. And on that point, it's one of those things that really makes me wonder, man. So Saka, he only played 72 minutes in Arsenal's last game. I think it was 3 or 4 days ago against Fulham. This was a 3-0 win. Now look, I understand that Arsenal are chasing this Premier League title. In a game against Fulham, you don't think that maybe rotating the squad a bit with a huge second leg in the Europa League coming up might be a good idea? I mean, at least throwing Saka out there to start. I just don't get it. I don't know if they felt like they were not going to need him or what happened, if he wasn't feeling fully fit to run a full 90. But man, like, with the way that he was creating off of that right-hand side, I feel like Arsenal would have had a much better chance with him playing in that first half as well. Sporting held it down towards the end of extra time. They just really sat down everyone behind the ball, and it was great defensive positioning, great team defending, getting behind the ball, shifting from side to side, not allowing any gaps for Arsenal, and they were able to push it into penalties. And I mean, look, the penalties were penalties. I mean, yes, Sporting did bring off a lot of their better penalty takers, so I guess that makes it more notable of a win, but I'm not the type of person that's ever going to look that deep into penalties. It sucks that Martinelli missed, and yes, I'm about to use you for a thumbnail, but bro, it happens. Like, it's really not that big of a deal at the end of the day. The way that I wanted to end this off was just taking a look at Sporting, congratulating them on their great win. You know, they're only in the top 3 of the XG difference in the Premier League, which it sounds really good, top 3, but I mean, in the grander picture at the European stage, they've got teams like Porto and Benfica who are putting up better stats offensively and defensively in the league. So to look at this on paper, they were an undersized challenger for sure. This is a huge upset win. This is a big win for European football in general. You know, it's showing that the landscape is still competitive and only 4th in the league at the moment, I believe. Which, I mean, it's solid, but it's not great. And especially for a team that's outside of the top 5 major leagues, this is a really, really big showing to show that teams that are coached well, assembled properly, and utilize the player base that they have in their own domestic league, they could still do really well, and this is proving that. Sporting Lisbon is a great story for not just Portuguese fans, but football fans in general. You know, it's a great underdog story. So yeah, those are just my quick little thoughts. I just wanted to get this out as quick as I can, just to sum up everything real quick for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the games as much as I did today. I'm planning on making a little something tomorrow for the Champions League draw, so make sure to stay locked in for that, and I'll see you guys soon. Later.